The audit work papers. So these work papers, these spreadsheets, and when they say, "Oh, you're working a big job over big time accountant over here," well, what are you doing? Mainly just doing spreadsheets, right? It's a running joke when I started. Like, oh, that sounds like you're doing some cool things. And I'm not just doing spreadsheets. But that's how the world works. I'm not knocking it. I am quite a fan of Excel, and I think it's a wonderful tool. The auditor's working papers are the principal means of documentation because it's like showing your work. It's showing your work, how you did your math, like you did in elementary school. This is, how you did it, right? How you tied everything. You took the trial balance amounts and you tied them with the documentation from the third party, and you put it all together and looking nice. Now, similar to how tax preparation works, let's think about this. The work papers that you work on as the auditor or the tax preparer, those belong to you. However, the opinion, which is the end goal, whatever the end goal is, they're paying you to issue an opinion or paying you to do a tax return. That tax return is property of the client, and that opinion is property of the client. So just that distinction there is important because the auditor has ownership of the working papers. Now you could share those with the client. I mean, that's not really like too much being tested. That's just me giving you kind of an idea of what that looks like. But again, it's not like you can withhold the end product from the client. That is their property. That you're engaged to provide that for them, and you don't have to give your working papers to the client. Just keep in mind who owns what. Now, per SOX 2002, there is a particular requirement. Working papers for issuer clients need to be saved for 7 years. After that, you could throw them out. You probably won't because you just want them for yourself. However, that does exist as a rule, and non-issuer clients have a requirement of 5 years. Again, in practice, the firm's probably going to save all the records pretty well into the past. All right. As I said before about work papers, if you've heard this in work or if you haven't, so someone should be able to pick up your work paper if they have basic audit or accounting experience. If they don't know the client specifically, they should be able to pick up your work paper and understand what you did, your procedures, how you did it, the conclusion there, right? So it's kind of like, well, I've never driven, let's say, a Volvo, but they should build the Volvo in a way where me as someone who can drive a car can get in that Volvo and be able to drive it, right? I mean, yeah, like it might take me a few seconds to get acclimated and understand the car, but that is essentially what we're getting at here. And these work papers, similar to other documentation, they need evidence of review by another auditor. Again, that's a sign off. It could be in the internal system, whatever it looks like, but there needs to be signed off, reviewed by someone else. That's the whole chain of command, right? We've got the associate, senior associate reviews the work done by the associate, then the manager, the senior manager, all the way up to the partner. That is going to be just the chain of command, and everyone reviews the work from the person before them. In theory, that's how it works, right? We've definitely never seen any work papers get through without being reviewed. All right. If the auditor encountered scope limitations or lack of responsiveness from the client, that's not good. Well, generally, the auditor needs to perform additional procedures if they don't choose to withdraw from the engagement or disclaim an opinion. If additional procedures are required, they need to be documented in the work paper. I'm going to reference that a lot throughout just the different lessons about withdrawing from the engagement, disclaiming an opinion, scope limitations, pretty important there. But if you do have these limitations, first, I mentioned before, try something. Try something if you can get around the scope limitations. Now here's an example. I'll give you an example that has happened, right? I mean, if you're emailing one manager at the client and they're not giving you the bank statements that you need to tie out the work paper, then email another manager, right? Just try that at the client. Just think outside the box a little bit and think, okay, is there a way I can do this without having to just completely exit the engagement overall?
Hey there! Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material? We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.